What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course. It is very extremely foggy this morning because it's starting to cool down, so temperatures are getting cooler, which means good news for the leaves, but the water is still warm. So, yep. We're not going to throw from those two pads. We're going to throw from this one. Today we're working on a little bit of formwork and asking the question, should we, or if we should, why should we overpower our drives? Is it possible for us to overpower our drives? What does overpowering our drives mean? There's lots of questions that go behind that basic overall question. So let's go ahead and start getting into it. So basically what I'm talking about, but when I say overpowering the drive or overpowering the disc, is throwing it faster than its upper level threshold is concerned. And that usually has to go off of the speed of the disc or the rim thickness. How thick is the actual rim of the disc? Because this is a driver rim, it's a 7-speed, this is a Cicada versus a 5-speed, a Hex, or a 3-speed Luna. As it gets thinner, that lower threshold and the upper threshold both start to decrease in arm speed, and as they get thicker, that upper threshold increases. There's other factors that go into that as far as stability, torque resistance, other things like that the plastic is made from. But I'm gonna throw at putter power so that we can start to see the actual 3402 of the Luna. And then we'll throw at mid-range power so we can see the 5.5 -1.1 of the Hex. And then we're gonna throw at fairway driver power so we can see the 7.6 -1.1 of the Cicada. And we're gonna throw all 3 discs at each power level. We might even try to throw all of them at distance driver power level, because when you start to overpower a disc, it's not necessarily uncontrollable. It may feel like that sometimes, but if you overpower a disc, when you know that you're overpowering the disc, you can get a different shot shape out of said disc. For right now though, we're gonna start right here with the Luna so we make sure we're throwing it properly. The right power level. Wow, and I thought it would after hitting the leaves. But you're going to see a more stable flight from the Luna if you throw it softer. It's designed as an 0.2. If you power up on it like you see the pros doing, it doesn't fly like an 0.2. But if you throw a -1.1 mid-range at that power level, you're probably not going to get that straight of a flight. That was on an Anheuser. Hence that straight of a flight. And then you add in the distance or the actual rimmed drivers, and they're going to function even more different. It's that bad. Obviously there's issues there as well. But as you throw faster discs slower, they're going to be more overstable. So it makes sense that as you throw slower discs faster, they're going to be more understable. And we will see examples of that here in just a minute. Now, if I throw the Hex hard enough to get the Hex to do what it's supposed to do, with its 5.5 -1.1, it should be a little bit of a flip up to fade mid-range or a flat to flex mid-range. But I shouldn't have to throw it super hard to get it to do the right shot shape. as long as I am releasing it clean. Yeah, Hex doing Hex things. But if I throw the Luna the same way, this is why I think that for me, the Luna really is my straightest of the mid-ranges, because at mid-range power, it's a mid-range, it's similar to the Hex, it just doesn't fade the same. If I don't hit a tree. Okay. Scared of that one going in the lake. Can't lose that disc. But we still haven't really got up to the power threshold of where a 7-speed driver is going to need to start to achieve its desired shot shape. However, this is one of the reasons I love the Cicada, because it has a lower threshold. It's much closer to the mid-range threshold, so we might get to see Cicada start to do what it's supposed to here. Yeah. I grip locked it again, so it was a rip over. It was ripped over. But I really do have very comfortable speeds with specific rim sizes, and if I try to mix up what goes at what speeds, if I'm trying to power down hard more, it starts to get a little bit iffy. I can always power up because I can always just hold on to it harder and throw it on more hyzer. But when you have a disc that is a driver rim, it's very difficult for me to throw driver rim softly. So this shot is very, 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 very difficult for me to throw mid-range power with a driver. It normally works out pretty well with the Cicada. It is just very cool and tacky and foggy this morning, so my fingers still aren't 100% warm. And then we get up to a shot where I really do like to throw the Cicada on this line, but to get the Cicada on this line, it's not the laser beam dead straight flip up line. I am going to have to power up a little bit higher than its lowest, still not getting to its upper level, to its upper threshold. But this shot, I do want it to hyzer flip and then turn and ride over to the right a little bit. So a nice consistent flex line instead of the laser beam flip up line, because I'm going to try to release it towards the trees, and that hill always gets me out of breath. Okay, didn't power up quite enough to get it all the way over. That's probably just a flip up line, a flip up power level. We're going to try to recreate that same power threshold here with the Hex first. I think that Hex might be the most stable of all of these three discs. And now for the Luna. There's the turnover. So at fairway driver power, to get your slow fairway drivers to do what you're trying to get them to do, your Luna is going to fly like a pure. Does that mean that you need to go out and throw your Luna at power levels that exceed what the disc was designed for? Well, that depends. Are you trying to use it as a throwing putter? Or are you trying to get mid-range distance and mid-range control out of it? I don't know if you will ever quite get it up to full driver territory range, because none of us are Anthony Barella or Paul Macbeth, but it's such a good controllable disc, similar to the Hex. If this one wasn't particle proton and still somewhat new, if they were actually, not the slightly more stable versions, you would see even more understability from each of these discs as I'm throwing them at a higher power level. Now we get into the point where we're going to go collect all three of these. We're going to go to a place where I'm going to have to kind of rip the Cicada to get it all the way there. It may not be full distance driver power, but it will be much higher on the threshold for the cicada, and it could potentially be over the upper threshold level of the Luna for the way that I throw. So we might see the Luna turn up, flip over, and possibly not come back. We should hopefully see a flip up at least out of this hex, even though it's as stable as it is. I'm gonna try to throw hard enough to get the cicada to go 400. Likelihood is I'll probably overturn it, or I'll throw it directly into the ground, but we're gonna try. So this fairway is about 410 to the basket where it's at right now. This one has a chance of getting all the way there. I don't think I can push them there even at this power level. They're just a little bit too much on the slow side, and we're starting to get a little bit further into the realm of the cicada might be reaching its upper level threshold as well. So we're gonna throw cicada first, and then we're gonna lean into these two and see what they do at a much higher power level. Much higher power level doesn't look like the cicada that most of you are used to throwing, right? Because most of us are used to throwing at the power level that the cicada is supposed to be thrown at, which is why it's a laser beam dead straight fairway driver. But if you increase the power level so much over its threshold, you get a completely different shot shape. And so I can have one fairway driver that does the laser beam dead straight shot and also does the very Leopard 3 Essence -2-1 style shot as well, just by increasing the power to such a margin that I'm overthrowing the threshold, and then it's achieving a different shot shape. Beautiful, right? I love it. But at much more of a distance driver power threshold, what does the hex do? There's the hex. Yeah. Turnover and started to pan by the time it hit the street. When you overpower discs to such an extent that they are almost uncontrollable and unthrowable, you have a completely different shot shape. But you have to learn where that level is. Where is too much and where is perfectly just the right amount. Even faster turnover. And there we get to see the actual true, once you start to increase the power threshold to such an extent, you're going to have to start to throw your hex, your Luna, even your fairway drivers on more hyzer to achieve the same shot shape you were expecting them to achieve. But if you're going to throw them the exact same way, but at a higher power threshold, very clearly it's going to do a different shot shape, which is amazing. You just need to know when and how and why you're choosing to overpower said disc. I regularly overpower the Luna because it's supposed to be a stable throwing putter. I regularly overpower to the point where it is a straight mid-range. I typically don't ever get much past that. And if I do, I'm throwing it on a downhill straight shot, and I'm throwing it on an incredible amount of hyzer, so that it has plenty of time to flip up without flipping over. Know your specific discs, know your bag, know what you're good at and what you like to throw, and then really start to experiment with those power levels and what they do for each specific discs. Hopefully you guys found some of this helpful and instructional, and maybe you'll go out and use this on your next round. Maybe if you like this video, make sure to if you enjoy content like this, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff, make sure to comment all of that down below as well. Please make sure to subscribe. It helps you guys out with these subscriber-only giveaways. And if you want to be automatically entered into monthly giveaways, check out the memberships as well. Until next time, see you out on the course.